So I want to just say that this partnership started in March 2014, and so we have this evening the principal of Wynberg Boys, as well as the head boy, who will, Wynberg High. See, this is a whole story behind this whole thing, who will share a little bit about how the identity and the culture of the school was impacted through their experience of Partners for Possibility. So, Faik and Iviwe, mic's yours.
Good evening, everybody. Anyone know what a woodwork teacher is?
Okay. Emma had one.
Yeah. Okay. And often it's said that woodwork teachers are good for two things: knocking in nails and cutting up things. So that's me. I'm an ex-woodwork teacher, and then when woodwork was phased out, I became a mathematics teacher. Wow. So what happens with woodwork teachers are we're stubborn, we're inflexible, very rigid, right? So, but very single-minded as well. So we're able to get things done. So I ended up becoming the head of discipline at our school. Again, very stubborn, very single-minded, and I got the job done. I moved through the ranks, became deputy principal, and found myself becoming the principal when our ex-principal, Daniel Jones, got a better offer at Western Province. So here you have a guy who is not very flexible and who wants things done, and he wants it done the way he wants it to be done. So the first thing, after a week of being principal, at least a month of being principal, one of our teachers in the staff room, she starts crying and says, "Meneer moet asseblief nie so raas met ons nie." And then loosely translated, this is that I must stop scolding the teachers in the staff room because I want things done and it must be done my way. And the reality was that I was actually driving the school down. What I had inherited was a school performing at 62% as far as matric results were concerned. We were 2% shy of being an underperforming school and being on the radar of Mr. Brian Schroeder, our director, right, so, our SG. The reality was that I had a plan, but I didn't know how to do it because I was too rigid in terms of trying to get it done. So I was actually very fortunate in meeting up with Tony Voges, who then was a HR manager at Alacrity, and fortunately for me, that was the right person that I needed to get into contact with at that time. I needed someone who was going to be able to teach me how to work with people in order to get the desired results that I needed at school. Another thing about the school is a very small school. We don't have much space. For those who know what a plunky school is, we are a plunky school, right? So we often have a lot of issues with the school in terms of the idea that schools are supposed to inspire individuals. Buildings are supposed to inspire. And when you come into our facility, it doesn't look like it's a facility that can inspire. So that was one of the challenges also that we had to that we have to meet on a regular basis. So what did Tony do for us? The first thing that we had to do was identify a community. So we looked at various options in terms of the community that we're going to work in order to affect the change that we needed to happen at school to improve our results. I was moaning about the building, and he said to me, that's a long-term thing, so that's not going to happen soon, and we're still fighting that battle. The other thing was the community in terms of Wynberg was not invested in the school because none of the people in Wynberg, or very few of the families or the people in Wynberg, has their children coming to our school. The other community that we thought of was our parents, and we service the underprivileged. So even though we're situated in Wynberg, the communities that we service comes from Kailicha, Langanyanga, Mitchells Plain, Bonteheuwel, Manenberg, Hanover Park. And judging from the names or the places that I've just mentioned, you can well imagine that most of the parents are living to survive. So they aren't invested in the school in terms of trying to create a better space. They're expecting the school to be the savior for their children in terms of their future. the only option was to look at educators to be the main drivers of the school and the main drivers in terms of change and affecting change and a turnover strategy or turnaround strategy. The reality was also that educators were working hard, even though results were reflecting that nothing was really happening at the school. So we needed to think of ourselves differently and cohesively as well. And we needed also to become more effective in the way we were actually engaging with the kids and working to achieve the goals of better performance and also a better environment for the learners as well. So what did happen is we looked at revisiting a vision for the school, but more importantly also the values that underpin what we do at school. So everything was going to be re-looked at developing a value system that basically would motivate and provide a basis for everything that we did at school, be it academics, be it sport, be it co and extracurricular. All these things were going to be underpinned by this new value system that we had. So the first thing we did was look at the teachers and non-teaching staff and then have a series of workshops that everyone underwent. We looked at what was working, what was not working, and what were the core values that would drive the various things that we were doing at school. So for us, that was the key, and also to have a common vision in terms of how we were going to work as a team. 5 years later, or 4 years and a bit, the school has improved from 62.8% as far as matric results is concerned, with bachelor's passes of 12% in 2013. We've improved to 94.2% last year. As well as moving up from 12% in terms of bachelor's passes to 54%. I have to admit that, staff has really come on board. I was blessed, and sometimes principals are not blessed with a senior management team that really backs the principal in everything that they do. Remember, I'm a stubborn person. So often when I say something and then everyone is shocked, but staff, and especially senior staff, will never ever say, Mr. Sali, let's not go there. It's about the vision and values and how do we reach that. We are a team that pushes the school to new heights, and the results has proven that. We have moved away from a negative vibe where the community does not want to invest in the school to a school where the community is actually phoning us on a daily basis, commending the school in terms of the change that they've seen in learners at the school when they walk in the community, because Wynberg's roads are very narrow. So learners are walking all over the place to the terminus because that is how they get to school. And the community is actually saying to us, look, things are improving. We're not seeing it because we're always looking at the next goal. So for the school, it's about pushing boundaries and going further than we always use the word further than what the building is limiting us to go. So for us, it's about using those values, and I have to thank Tony, even though he's not here, because he's given us new insights. What's also very helpful as far as PfP is concerned, we belong to Circle 10, and initially we used to meet a lot. These days we meet once a year, but it is important also for schools to belong to a greater group in terms of the circle, so that you can share experiences. And for us it was about, the little bubble that we were living in. And oftentimes when I speak to some of the principals in the circle, I'm wowed in terms of the things that other schools who have it maybe 10 times worse than us are achieving. One of the principals is sitting here, Mr. Juan Julius of Hougby High School. So often he serves as an inspiration in terms of the challenges that he has at his school and things that he and his staff is doing as well. So even though Wynberg High School's story is, for us, it's a developing story, we haven't reached the end of the road. It is something that I would like to think can serve as an inspiration to other schools in terms of what can be done even though the environment doesn't speak to quality being able to emanate from that kind of space. Lastly, I'd also like to say that often when we do these kinds of interactions with people like Partners for Possibility or companies like this, we're thinking of improving educators or principals in terms of the way they manage school. It's not about the way we manage school. Those things come naturally. As teachers, we are administrators, and when you move up the ranks as far as, becoming a HOD or a deputy principal, these things is self-taught often, and it is also shared with colleagues in terms of how to manage the school. Often what we forget is that our main role players and stakeholders are people. It's not forms and things that you need to log on and click away because the data needs to be in at a certain time. It's our role players and our stakeholders who are important. So for me, the staff is important, but more so, our clients who are the learners as well as the parents, and in that sense, our community is more important than anything else. And if we are able to connect with them, even though they are not able to be part of the process, then we will be achieving great things. And I hope that Wynberg's story has served as some kind of inspiration to all of you. Thank you very much.
Good evening to everyone. My name is Iviwe. I'm from Wynberg High School. What's up? So, for example, I was from a very small school. I think most Peterson is around. From Otter Methodist, we only had 7 classes. So, Wynberg High School for me, I've always been in front of Wynberg High School and seen how the children were. So, it was kind of like a last-minute school, a last resort. I wanted to go to another school. So, like for example, my mother didn't have the best of jobs, so she couldn't afford all the good schools that I wanted to go to. So my last resort was Wynberg High School. So I've been there since 2014. I have to say, I've seen a lot change. During my stay at Wynberg High School, and I have to say I don't regret it. Firstly, when I went into Wynberg High School, I felt a sense of belonging. Although I only had 7 teachers that have ever taught me at Otter Methodist, but the sense of belonging at Wynberg, because it's an art-focused school, so everybody's very expressive, even the teachers. So you get the musicians, the artists, the dramatic artists. So everybody you were quiet, you were loud, you just fit in. During my stay, I've seen a lot and I've done a lot at school. The school, one thing that the school has given me is a sense of culture. And a sense, as I said, a sense of belonging. We all work very differently and are very different personalities. But there's one thing is that we all understand each other. So through the extracurricular activities that the school have, we have the debating society, the peace club. A lot of people get bored with the peace club because it sounds boring. But to me, it's the most interesting club at school. Because like the debating society taught me specifically structure. It taught me how to behave, how to talk to people. The Peace Club taught me how to be human and how to reach to how to understand other people, how to talk to a bully and how to not be the bully. Because I found out that I have a bit of me that's a bully. My friends complained. So the good thing is that they had an open door policy at the Peace Club, is that we were all friends and you could all talk and be honest with each other. The other person did not have to answer. So people found it very easy to talk to each other and say, no, if you this, no, you're too bossy. You do this, you do that. So all these things taught me a lot. I also became a peer mediator through Wynberg High School Peace Club. And peer mediation taught me quite a lot also. So with everything that Sir said is that despite the way our school looks, but it's what inside that counts. We don't have the best of buildings, but I have to say we also get quality. And I think that's what counts, because people, I'm sure most of you don't even know where the school is. But luckily you're not judging us by how our school looks, but by who we are. I have gained a lot also from Wynberg High School. Firstly, I live very far from Wynberg. also like Sir said. But just because we're in Wynberg, and like Ma'am already did, Wynberg boys, a lot of people say that, say we are Wynberg boys, and yes, we're not Wynberg boys, but so we are also on the league now. Just have to say. So I'd also like to thank Mr. Page. He's Mr. Page. Hi, sir. So Mr. Page is the only person that I know from PfP. Always see Mr. Page, he's the non-teaching teacher at this school. Always see him at the office. So it was always a hello, hi. But thank you, Mr. Page, for inviting me, and thanks to Mr. Sali. And thank you to everyone that listened to me today.